Good morning. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. I'm Eric Murphy. This is Skeptic Generation, and we need to talk. And this is Moko, who wanted to say hi to. So she's going to be joining us for the episode today. Hey, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I see that people are still filing in, and I really appreciate it. I know that last week, SkepGen took a break, and I figure that I kind of owe it to you to let you know what happened. But first, before I do, I have one caller on the line, and I would love for this to be a packed episode, take a lot of really good calls. If you want to talk, today would be a great day for it. If you want to call in, you can call 412-SkepGen. That's 412-753-7436. Or you can go to tiny.cc/SkepGen. That's tiny.cc/SkepGen. Yeah, all right. So people were in the comments going, Moko, Georgie. Georgie was the initial name we had for our cat, and a lot of people still call her that. I know this is off topic, but since people are, talking about it, I might as well address it. So whatever took her eye also damaged her nose, and so she has a chronic rhinitis. She's just got the sniffles for the rest of her life. So I called her my little mocosa, and for those of you who speak Spanish, she's our little booger, and that's kind of been her nickname around the house. But let me kind of update you on last weekend. It is September 1st. We did not do the last show of August, and the reason we didn't is because that was Via's birthday, and we went out and celebrated and saw some of our friends, and it was really nice. I got a bit of a sunburn. I don't know if you can see my awful... No, you can't. Oh my goodness. All right. Cool. But yeah, no, got a bit of a sunburn, and happy to be back. Still exhausted. Just got here yesterday evening. But I'm happy to do the show, and I'm happy y'all are here to join me. What is today's episode? Today's episode is Bring It On. I'm ready to be back, and to make up for last week, how about we do 5 SkepGens this month? I feel like that makes up for it, right? All right, I'm going to go ahead and take our first and only call so far. Before I do, one more time, just to get the number up, because I'd love to have multiple callers on the line. Our call screener is waiting. You can go to tiny.cc/SkepGen, or you can call 412-753-7436. It is toll free. SkepGen pays for it. We just want to talk to you. All right, let's go on to talk to Roy in North Carolina. Roy, you're live on the show.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
I called once before.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you for calling back.
I did not want to be first, but whatever.
You know what?
Works.
Honestly, ripping off the Band-Aid really, really helps the show, because you're the only person who's called in so far. And so I would be vamping and struggling if it weren't for you. So I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you want to talk about today?
The only topic I thought of was generational trauma, but I don't mind talking about really any topic, but I'm an atheist, so we agree on most of the fundamentals. Yeah,
generational trauma is definitely something that ties in well with the topic of skepticism, atheism, leaving your religion. I know for me personally, when I left my faith, I had a lot of anger at the people in my life, the adults in my life who taught me all this shit. And it took me a long time to come to the realization that they were just as indoctrinated as me, and they were perpetuating a thing. But what about you? What was your experience?
Well, I was trying to think of a good topic, but the only one that I could think of is on my dad's side. He's a native, or he was native, whatever, but my Nana is definitely Catholic, and the last thing she said to me that I remember is she called me spawn of Satan.
What?
Because I was trans. And I might have mentioned that in the last call, but of course you have a bunch of different callers, but she did not like that I was trans, and she was native but turned Catholic. My family was basically Catholic because her family's native was forced to go into Catholic schools. I'm not Catholic, but it does have a huge effect, colonization.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So are we talking First Nations, Native American, or are we talking...
I really don't know. It's kind of sad. when you're not involved in a tribe. Like, I don't even know exactly what tribe my family's from. I just know that she wasn't always Catholic. Her mom was forced to make her Catholic, and she's forced to be Catholic. And she's so old that's how she is now.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, jeez. Spawn of Satan, though. That's intense.
Yeah, I'm trans, and my partner Bradley refuses to call me by my given name, which is biblical.
Okay. You mean your dead name?
And then, yeah.
Got it. Good for your partner.
I prefer Roy.
Yeah. Good for your partner for standing up for you. You know, I'm kind of in a space where this year I've found that people in my life are needing to make some tough choices when it comes to family. And, you know, it's like with holidays coming up, right? It's already September. We're kind of deciding, you know, and our friends are kind of deciding what relationships they feel like
Are worth keeping?
Well, not just worth keeping, but there's kind of a sense of obligation, you know?
Oh.
Like this kind of, you know, so you talk about your Nana, right? Like, how much shit do you need to put up with because they're old?
Oh, plenty. But after that, my mom said, you're not welcome in the house anymore. So I haven't seen her since that day.
All right.
But I do have experience with a grandparent. Just this year, my grandfather with dementia had to move in.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up escaping his own home. But I was not expecting to take care of him. I didn't know he had dementia. But that generation being completely out of touch, and especially him being a Jehovah's Witness, I didn't know he was deteriorating until he was forced to become a burden.
Yeah.
It was really hard a few months ago.
How's that working out?
So, well, he's out. We couldn't take care of him. He ended up escaping twice. And I ended up hospitalized because of the stress a few months ago. I think this was after the first call, though. That was for mental health reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a lot. Roy,
I know it's pretty heavy. Sorry.
No. I'm sorry that you're dealing with it. It is. I'm not the one dealing with all of the crap that you're dealing with. There's no, like, you shouldn't have to be apologetic to me.
Yeah.
Damn.
I really appreciate calling you, Eric. You're one of my favorite show hosts. Same with V, but
yeah,
I was ready. I was waiting.
I saw that. You were ready hours early. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, this last one, I was sad.
Yeah. Well, last one, like I said, we were out for V's birthday. We went to a musical, which was really nice. We went to the Lord of the Rings musical.
That's pretty gay.
It really is. It was really good. We had a lot of fun. But yeah, we just got back yesterday, and I'm just trying to get back into the flow of things, you know.
Okay.
But
I don't want it to be too heavy, but how much more time you got? Because I can tell a story to help keep more people in.
Yeah, I've got open lines right now. Let me put out the phone number, and I'm happy to talk. The phone number for everybody watching is 412-SkepGen. That's 412-753-7436. Again, it is toll free, 412-753-7436, or you can call online. Go to tiny.cc/SkepGen. That's tiny.cc/SkepGen. Our call screener is waiting for you. All right, Roy. Yeah, I'm all ears. What do you got?
Okay. After the hospitalization, I don't want to get too into that.
Sure.
But because my home situation was really stressful, going to the hospital was actually like a reprieve from that. Like, it was beneficial for me at that time.
Good.
It wasn't nice, but compared to living with someone who isn't mentally there, and I'm mentally ill, so I never blamed him for anything. But, yeah. Anyways, aside from that, life doesn't really give you a break, and I hate it. Because my family's been in poverty for years, and a few weeks ago, the basement flooded because of a broken water heater. Like, it just seems like I'll never crawl out of this hole.
Yeah. So by the way, the basement flooding because of the broken water heater is my worst nightmare.
We
Like,
still don't have hot water.
oh my
It's been a few
goodness.
weeks.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm actually recording in a basement that I've converted into a studio space, and I have everything a couple inches off the ground, and I'm like, hopefully
That
that's
would be
enough
a
if
lot
that
of
ever happens.
ruined.
Well, that'd be the
Yeah,
end of the show for sure. For sure, for sure.
that, that would suck. But yeah, the water heater's broken, but this house is so old, but it's home. It's the only place we have. And I could probably write a book on every problem that our families face. Like I didn't choose to be born in a poor family, but they didn't choose for unfortunate things to happen.
Yeah.
But it just, everything keeps building up. Like if we moved out, maybe when I was a kid, we wouldn't be dealing with, flooded basement, no water,
But
barely functional electric lines. Like,
but it'd be something else.
yeah,
It'd probably be something else. Yeah. It's
definitely. And then I see people living with families and owning multiple cars. Meanwhile, me and my partner can't afford our own car, couldn't afford our own apartment. He's a Class A hazmat certified trucker. You'd think in this economy we'd be able to survive. Like, it sucks how much people have to suffer just to try and live. Like, minimum wage is not living wage. Like, sorry. There's so much things I
No.
can complain about that everyone's dealing with. And I know I'm not the only person suffering, but I've had to deal without food in America. You know how much food gets thrown out?
Yeah.
And I've been working in restaurants. They don't allow you to take food home. They don't want you to feed homeless people. Like,
No.
what? There's no reason for it. Okay, taking a break for a bit.
No. Honestly, that kind of activism is the reason why V's not sitting next to me. Because that is
Yeah.
the trying to get involved in community things and trying to see how they can help with organizing and activism around collective bargaining unions and community local support has been what my partner has dived into, and so it's what they're spending their time on. And so you're in North
here too.
you're in North Carolina, and you're on the other side of the country, and I'm seeing it here too. I mean, geez, yeah. It definitely feels like we're in
Texas or California.
I'm in Portland, Oregon now.
Oh,
It just didn't feel okay in Texas anymore. We needed to leave, and we were very, very lucky we did. Actually, just right after we left, we both the company we were working for collapsed. So
lucky.
yeah, no, seriously, lucky to within like 2 weeks we would not have been able to leave. But no, this is late stage capitalism. It was never about growing a middle class. It was always about aggregating power and money at the very top.
And it's no individual's fault, but it really is unbearable for the people at the bottom.
I think it's a lot of individuals' faults.
Never mind. I don't know. I just didn't want to call any names out.
Oh, no. I'm happy to absolutely call out the 1%. Fuck them. I think the world would be much, much, much better place if that kind of money was, moving through the economy. Yeah.
Yeah, the 1% I could say fuck them, but when individuals, no, I'm not going to say, like, unless they're Hitler or Trump, I'm not going to say, like, certain things I dislike about people, because I don't know half these people I see online.
I lived in Texas for a long time, and I can tell you that a whole lot of publicly elected officials, it makes me wish that I believed in a hell.
Yeah. I try not to be angry at people. It's an emotion I could not control very well. So anger is just not something I try and retain.
I respect that, and I have trouble expressing anger, but I feel like I'm angry all the time.
That's not good. I
all
know
the time.
You and me are pretty ill in our own way.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed. Oh yeah, I'm trying to get disability. Like, I don't want to be a complete burden on society, but without my meds, I'm guaranteed to really want to,
Yeah.
be a problem to my own self. Like, I will.
I've been I've been struggling to keep my depression meds for the last 6 months. I actually finally got a state appointment for the 10th that I'm going to be able to get back on all my meds. So
And
what
it
a
sucks.
what a crazy ass shithole, right? Like, what the hell?
I know we're just like venting this first call. That's cool. Of
I
course, we
know,
know
I
we're not
know, and
calling yet.
everybody's watching. Like, I'm supposed to be watching an atheist skeptic call-in show. Where's the philosophy in it?
Oh well, I can talk about more religious stuff then.
No, 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 no. I'm empathizing with you that yeah, no, this is and the worst thing is I don't know how to fix it. I don't have the skills or the power to. The best thing I can
Like
do
I
is
had.
lend an
Sorry, go ahead.
empathetic ear. No, the best thing I can do is listen, and help, spread to everybody who is watching that this is something that has permeated everything.
Yeah. My partner, by the way, we tried multiple times to get apartments, but like for the low income ones, he made too much to get in. And then for the high income ones, which is basically everything now, that's like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
He barely has 200 to send to me each week, and he's over the road trying to make money all the time. But trucking really sucks. I know not all companies are the same, but when something goes wrong in his truck, something out of his control, it needs maintenance, he doesn't have access to it, any food inside, he cannot eat. And without a vehicle and no permission to leave the yard, he has to Uber to get groceries or get food when his truck's being fixed. Like just having to deal with your own taking care of like your own necessities. Like Bradley hasn't made really any money.
No, that is
Yeah.
that is the end run around the gig economy. Like that is the gig economy. People are so excited that you can make a couple quick bucks, driving for Uber, and then we created a society where you have to, otherwise you won't survive. Yeah,
My mom even tried it.
the good news is I recently heard about, and I know I've got another caller coming in, so I am grateful for that. Summer, thank you for calling in.
Yay.
But Roy, I recently saw a court case come in that determined that people driving for Uber are employees. I might have been in a specific state, but hopefully we can start seeing legislature that has companies taking responsibility for the people who are working for them.
That's just bad if they weren't employees in the first place. That is
Agreed.
That is utterly stupid. They shouldn't have been able to
But
open an app.
yeah, but you don't need to worry about minimum wage requirements or health care for contractors.
Yeah. I understand.
Roy, I am sending you the biggest hug. What a
Really?
yeah, of course.
You know you're my favorite talk host, so a metaphysical hug or whatever is like basically giving me a signature on my ass, so thank you very much.
Roy, I wish you the absolute best, and you are legitimately in a shit situation. The best we can do is hope to get on the other side of it, because there will be another side of this.
Yeah, right now I just want to move out because I'm going to finish very soon. I know there's another caller now, but my mom's, like, I didn't notice she was abusive growing up, but now I do. And now I want to get out of her home. But right now, like, we cannot have another place. Like, I love her, but I do not want to live with this person at all. But yeah, I'll be all right, Eric. I'll try and call in another time.
All right, Roy, thank you for
I don't know if
calling
you're
in.
leaving.
I appreciate you, and I from someone else who's trying to deal with getting medicated in this fucked up system, I'm going to do my best to stay here to see the other side of it, and I hope you do too.
You got this. Bye, Eric.
You do too. Bye, Roy. What a yeah, that's reality. Yeah, there it is. It's really, really fun to get into the navel-gazing philosophy pieces, and I really enjoy it, and I make space for it. But it's not just theoretical when we talk about philosophy. It's what shapes our world. It's what influences our legislation. It's what underpins our governments, and there are real consequences. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. I want to talk to Summer in California. Summer, how's it going?
Hey, Eric. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I am great. I'm calling you from my brand new apartment, and I have the best view in all of California, I swear.
Hey.
Um, um, so I'm glad you're back. So last time I spoke to you, um, I've been questioning my atheism.
Yeah, well, you've been the last few times we talked, you've kind of been getting into the kind of the secret kind of, metaphysical stuff, thinking things or speaking things into existence or about higher powers. And I believe last time we talked, I'd said, hey, I don't need you to be at the same to reach the same conclusion as me. I just want you to have good reasons for the conclusion that you do reach. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're on the same page. So what's going on?
So now, last night, I was out with a girlfriend of mine, and she has done a lot of studying with these gurus in India.
Hmm.
And she starts telling me these stories, and I start talking about. I shared some of the videos that you and I had discussions of, because I've been just trying to figure this out since I left the Catholic religion.
Yeah.
And now these stories that she's bringing to me, personal stories of these, swamis in India, these gurus that have supposedly these supernatural powers. Like
Hmm.
this one swami, he claims he hasn't had food or water in more than 7 years. She was there when she was very sick, and they gave her this piece of candy, and all of a sudden she's healed, and she's not sick anymore. So I wonder, where, from a skeptic's point of view, where do these folks come in, and how do I talk to these people about these stories that sound so convincing that they said they were there and witnessed them?
Sure. Absolutely. So do you have a pen and paper? I'd love to give you
I
a
do.
resource here. There's a documentary
Yeah.
called Kumare, Kumare.
Okay.
I'd love for you to see. It's an Indian guy who saw this kind of movement towards, these gurus, and he decided that he was going to pretend to be a guru. And he actually recorded, the entire thing. I think that people want to believe that kind of stuff. That we want to believe in a magical world. It's
Yeah.
for me, leaving my faith, it wasn't this. There was a feeling of loss. There was a feeling of not just this relationship with a God and Jesus that I no longer had, that I felt like I had, but a world that was less sparkly, less mad, And so I definitely clung to whatever I could find of people saying that kind of thing. And I do think that the mind is an incredible. Uh, so let me try and get away from the high-minded stuff.
Okay.
Two things. I think in Western society we look for outside cultures that seem mystical and special. It definitely happens with Asian religions, and it's something that we need to be mindful of. There are a lot of people who do, supposed miracle healings here in the United States. And if I were to say that I went to, Appalachia and found a group of people who dance with snakes and don't get bitten, or do get bitten by poisonous or venomous snakes and don't fall ill, would you believe me?
No, I
Why?
don't think so.
Why?
It just sounds too outrageous.
So why is it not too outrageous for you to believe these gurus?
Um, well, there's videos that I've seen on YouTube where they're like floating on water and they're doing these things, and I'm thinking, okay, it's magic, it's some kind of sleight of hand.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you hear these firsthand stories, and then, and they said a quote to me that really hit. It was like, if people don't believe in magic, then it will never happen to you.
That is insane. If I don't believe in my car, will it never start?
Well,
Right. That's crazy. That what that means is if you're not primed to believe it in the first place, then you won't accept it, right?
right.
But that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. So for people who are doing the walking on water stuff, if you were to see David Copperfield do it, would you believe that he was magic? No.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah,
magic.
like
Yeah.
seeing people who are performers like that are absolute charlatans, and if they are trying to pull that shit, then don't believe anything they have to say, just as a general rule.
Right.
But what was the second piece of that? You said that personal experience, right? Oh, right. Personal healings. So have you ever seen those mega pastors, Crystal Cathedral kind of,
Yeah.
lay on hands, right? Everybody lines up at the front of the pulpit, and the pastor
Right. And I
blesses
saw how
them.
they do those tricks.
They get slain in
Yeah.
the spirit. Well, it's not just a trick either. Yeah, there are plants, but there's also people who have chronic pain who, when they believe that they've been healed of their pain, don't feel it. And then a couple days later, it comes back. A day later, it comes back. Somebody who's bound to a wheelchair takes 2 steps, and they're amazed. But the next day, they're still in their wheelchair, and they were never healed. Right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
do you believe those healers?
No, absolutely not.
Why?
But do you think that these people? Well, because I've seen the scams. I know how that works. I get that, but it just seems like, there's these people that are calling themselves these gurus and live in these like little huts out of India, and they're curing people. Are they really like behind the scenes learning these magic tricks and doing that for money? Are they really that like deceitful?
I mean, we see it here in the West. We don't need to go all the way to the other side of the world to see that people do that. People are people. People going to keep peopling,
Yeah, it just makes me sad that that's happening because, like,
Well,
I don't know why.
the other thing is, I think that some people drink their own Kool-Aid. Do I think that every mega pastor who does these laying on hands, these televangelist bullshit, do I think that all of them are practicing magic tricks? No, I don't. But if you have hundreds, maybe thousands of people who are telling you that you have special abilities, that's the group that you surround yourself with. You lay your hands on them and you say a magic word, and they seem to spring to life. They say that their pain is gone. They can take a few steps out of that wheelchair in front of you, right? If if somebody says they have cancer and you put your hand on them and they say that their cancer is gone, how long is it going to take for you to believe that you got magic hands?
Right, yeah.
I tend not to, like, I charitably don't want to think that every single one of them is a scam artist, right? I feel like that is
Right.
unkind of me, even if they deserve it. I think that there are a lot of people who drink their own Kool-Aid. It doesn't mean that they have magic powers. It just, a lot of people believe their own bullshit. We see it here.
That makes sense.
That
makes sense to me.
So why do we hold on to things that we think are exotic like that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it comes from us just looking outside of ourselves, right? We're creating these special places for magic, that I don't think it needs to be. Now, I'm not saying that everything that they're doing is bad. Right. I think that meditation, right. I think meditation is wonderful. I think mindfulness is great. I think community is wonderful. I think, developing meaningful relationships and friendships with other people is great. But we should not be giving power to these healers. I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, if you look up Kumare, Kumare,
Okay.
and then have you ever gone down the James Randi rabbit hole?
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. When he gave trying to give the $1 million away. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great.
Have you seen Psychic Surgery?
No.
My grandmother had psychic surgery. I like look up James Randi and psychic surgery.
Okay.
It's just another instance of people finding a culture that they think is exotic, and pretending that they have magic powers.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope those resources help. And like, it's interesting, Summer. I feel like I'm desaturating your world.
Yes, you are.
You know, I feel like I'm taking the color and the vibrancy away from you, and I
I
hate
was
that.
just gonna say that.
But at the same time, it would be condescending of me to do otherwise. You know, I feel like, treating you like an adult, treating you like somebody who should have the best evidence in front of them, and the best reasoning that they can. I think it would be cruel for me to not do this, you know?
No, and I agree, and that's why I'm calling, because like I was so believing her yesterday, and then looking at these videos, and then I call you, and then I get this more grounded in reality answer, and that's kind of what I'm needing.
Well, I mean, the last thing I want is for you to turn to your friend and be like, you're lying. Because it sounds like your friend
Right,
believes.
exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like your friend believes. And for a lot of things, the mind is really capable of doing a lot of incredible things.
Yeah, and she has a master's degree in psychology. Like she's got 25 years of being a therapist. A trauma therapist. So like, I trust like what she says.
Well, but here's the thing: is she talking about people being cured of their mental illness, or is she talking about something that she doesn't have experience in, like medicine? Like physical.
Well, she was studying with this guru, and then she was super super sick, and I brought her to the front of the line, gave her this candy, and then a few minutes later, she was completely well and not sick anymore.
You know
so
what?
That's why I'm like.
You know what I would be really really interested in?
Yeah.
I would be really interested in going. If you could go back in time and speak to the version of her that just had that experience. And I would be interested in finding out how that story has changed over time, how much stronger those opinions have become. I do think that humans do that. We look back at a thing and we give it more and more power. Do I think that and even if we were to grant that something magical happened, right? Even if you were to go that far, what caused that? Is it just like a general magic? What are its limitations? How
right. Yeah.
how far can it go?
Know, right?
Yeah. Can you get the same treatment and not have that happen? Why? Right?
Yeah.
If your friend got medicine, cool. If your friend had a sore throat and was given a ginger candy, cool. But if your friend had the flu and was given a candy, like, people get over the flu, right? So how much faster did they get over it since they were given the candy? I mean, there's just so much there that people don't really think about, and over time those stories grow.
Yeah. But do you think that it's harmful? Like, I get religion is harmful, but like some of these things, believing in some of these magics, or or maybe it's just like taking the sugar pill of the medicine, and being that, like, is it harmful to humans? Do you think? Is it harmful to me to believe in something like that sometimes?
Yes and no. It's harmful if they tell you that you need to give them your money. It's harmful.
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
harmful if you stop taking your medication or stop going to your doctor to do what they're doing instead. Right? It's Have you heard the whole, if you have a headache, say a prayer, take an aspirin, call me in the morning? You know, if you are supplementing actual medicine with whatever you're doing that makes you feel better, I mean, cool. But what's dangerous to me is giving giving authority to people who don't deserve it, and giving deference to groups who could potentially make someone stop taking their, their their diabetes medication, right? Like if somebody has
Yeah.
diabetes and they
Yeah.
stop taking their insulin because they decided that they're going to see somebody who's going to give them a candy and, say a couple magic words, that's really dangerous.
Right.
And so,
But what's the good side?
well, the good side is that your mind can actually help with a fuck ton of things. There are a lot of people who I think we don't give enough credit to sugar pills. If you believe something is going to work, there are a lot of things that can actually help with, especially around things like insomnia, pain management, and emotional distress. I mean, those people feel like they've got a handle on things, and that helps them a lot. There are stories of people who give birth without medication because they went through some whatever healing process. I think that we have an incredible ability to influence those things, but I think they're limited to placebo, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, take a sugar pill and an aspirin. Call me in the morning, and hopefully your headache will be better, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I guess one other thing in that is that if they're using that magic whatever to give themselves credibility for other things, if somebody gains a lot of popularity in an area because they can cure cancer with a touch, are they using that to try and run for political office?
Yeah, right. But
Right.
these people don't seem to be like that. Like, especially the guru that, she studied under was, she lives in a grass hut in India somewhere, like.
I mean, but does
and-
living in a grass hut make them more likely to have those abilities?
No. But I think it's not like they're using their powers, for money. Like they're not taking money, I don't think.
But they are gaining credibility. They are gaining,
Yeah.
followers.
Yeah.
Right. There are other things than just money
Yeah.
that motivate people. And it sounds like the fact that they lived in a grass hut in the middle of nowhere was giving them credibility. Definitely Kumare. Kumare is a good
Right.
good resource. I'd love for you to watch it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. Thank you so much for taking the time because I don't know. I feel like I keep, all right, I'm like, this is going to be debunked now, right? So, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to look into something else. Like I've been looking into something called a monad.
What's that?
So, yeah, a monad is like this spiritual energy that we're supposed to be born with. The Greeks came up with this idea, and and I could give you more information about it, but
Call in next.
Study it a little bit more,
Yeah.
and then call in. Yeah.
Call in about that. I'd love to break that down. Really, I know that I can't always be the thing that you bounce those ideas against, but right now I'm happy to. What I do want to stress to you, just human to human, Summer,
Yeah.
is you are in a place where people can take advantage of you. You had a
Really? Why do you say that?
well, because if you're in a place where you had a depressive drop off, right? You were just
Yeah.
in a really bad spot and you're building yourself back up. A lot of people, that's when they strike. That's when charlatans can come in and take advantage. And I just want you to be cautious because you seem like an absolute sweetheart, and I don't want anyone to take advantage of you. I don't want somebody to tell you that they have the answers when you're looking for, specifically for those kinds of answers. Like, I want you to have good reasons. And yeah, I don't feel like that's, I hope I'm not being offensive here. It's just like
No, it was just kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, and it's true for me too. When I bottom out, I'm vulnerable. you know, and
Yeah.
it's guard your heart, Summer, is what I'm saying, and take care of yourself, okay?
All right, I will.
All right, I want to hear about this spiritual energy next week.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right. Thanks, Eric. Have a
thank
great
you.
Sunday.
You too. Bye, Summer. Monad. Oh, you guys know I have thoughts on energy and energy. Yeah. All right. Leibniz was into monads. Oh, do I need to see what this is about? Oh, maybe we can look at it in the after show. I still have show to do. But I hope y'all know that I do go to Discord and hang out with everybody after the show, and link is in the description. So maybe we can look at that together a bit in the after show. In the meantime, though, let's talk to our next caller. We have Stephen in Pennsylvania. Stephen, you're live on the show.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay.
Oh, that's good.
So much stuff already, just in 2 calls. Good grief. And I'm sitting here riffing as they're talking. So there's that, too. Because I wanted to let Summer know my, for what it's worth, my nephew gave me a piece of candy once that was so good. I felt great immediately. But then I found out he worked at a marijuana dispensary. So I'm not really sure what exactly he gave me.
Well,
and, these people living in grass huts and grass being marijuana, I don't know, just saying. There's a lot of things that fall into place. And I wanted to say, I have a real...
marijuana is an actual drug that has actual effects.
Yes, it is. Well, that's why I wondered what was in the candy.
Well,
there could be any kind of herbs that could be in there that make you feel good for a little while.
I love that you bring up that example, only because there are definite medical benefits to marijuana, right? There are definite benefits for people who, have low appetite, for people who are dealing with pain management or, need help, who have different kinds of anxiety, but there are drug interactions with their medications that they're worried about. But do you remember, Stephen, I don't know how old you are, if you're the same age as me, but back in the day, back when weed was illegal, they said weed could cure fucking everything.
Oh, yeah.
There are people who are just you got whatever ails you, some weed is going to help, they're studying it, whoever they is. And so even when there is something that has benefits, we need to find out, what its limitations are. Right.
Yeah, and there was also, as far as the research was concerned, for a long time there was the issue of how you could get a hold of marijuana legally to actually do the research on it, because again, being illegal, no one was allowed to take it. So it was a whole big mess. But yeah, back in the day for you was still tomorrow for me back then. So yeah. That's how much older I am than you.
Steven. You know what?
Yeah.
I know you wanted to talk about, talking about economic ties into the reason we talk about atheism. Oh my God, I'm so here for it. But before we do, you are the only caller right now. We had a couple people drop off, so I'm going to put the phone number out there so people can call in first, okay?
Absolutely. That's 412 SkepGen. Sorry that you wanted to do that. Go ahead.
I love that. 412 SkepGen, 412-753-7436. Or if you want to call online, where can you go, Stephen?
tiny.cc/SkepGen. It's perfectly free. You'll fill out a little form, and you'll be put right in the queue. So go ahead and enter your topic. Don't forget your name, your location, and your pronouns.
Stephen, you're hired. Okay, so what did you want to talk about? Hit me.
So the first thing I wanted to say, because actually, I'm half kidding when I say I'm riffing as I'm listening to people, but I wanted to say, for Summer's benefit and for all of these other people, to your point about when you leave your faith or you're questioning and you're looking for something to hang on to, and even if you're still in your faith, recognize what a powerful creature and person you are. And I'm going to give a really quick story, and it just made me think of it in listening to Summer. So 2 nights ago, as I've called in before, I'm always talking about finding community as an atheist, because you sort of lose that pretty quickly when you leave a religion because you're not going to church or the church social or the cake sale or whatever they do. We have a fried chicken thing that happens over here every couple of months. But I went to, friends of mine are opening something called Hope House here in my county, and it's basically a women's shelter for women trying to get out of bad situations.
Nice.
And so I went to this fundraiser event that was a dinner theater murder mystery thing, and I knew the writer of the play, I knew all the actors in the play, and of course I knew the organizers of this fundraiser. And my husband and I were put at a table for 5 with one other actor who knew all the actors. So I'm pretty sure that's why she put us there. But she also put us there with a woman who was there to speak before the event to tell her personal story. And she was so nervous and all of these things. And I said to my husband afterward, I think the organizers put her with us on purpose, because we would be supportive and encouraging and so forth. And one of the things that I said to her, because she said, people don't want to hear about this and it's so difficult to talk about. And I said, you are so brave and you are so strong. And it is so important that we hear your story, that this whole room hears your story. I said, look around the room and look at the people who are here. I can guarantee the majority of them have never dealt with a situation like yours, getting away from an abusive husband with 2 small children, having nowhere to go. And this is the kind of thing that Hope House is going to give you. I said, we need to hear from you. And so we told her that before she got up on stage, and then she came back and sat down next to me. And with all the pleading in her eyes, she said to me, was that really okay? And I said, of course it was. I said, you were wonderful. You were very articulate and eloquent and perfect, and you did what you needed to do. And she said, would you tell me that even if you weren't trying to be nice? I said, yes, I actually would. I would tell you if you sucked, because I'm also a director, so I would tell you if you sucked and give you notes. But
Stephen,
there's nothing to do. But sorry, go ahead.
No, it definitely sounds like they sat you next to her for a reason. Isn't it nice to it is so affirming when you know that people see you as a safe person. And I love that.
Well, thank you. But what I wanted to comment on, this woman who'd been through escaping an abusive husband with 2 small children in the middle of the night, who used to beat her, and she had no money and nowhere to go, and found her way. She still sat next to me. When I tell you the look in her eyes, it was like looking into a 5-year-old's eyes, who is desperate for approval and desperate for acceptance rather. And to see that in a grown woman who has grown children now, because this happened earlier in her life, obviously. We all carry a piece of that sometimes.
Yeah.
When we're looking for validation, when we're looking for acceptance, when we're looking for support, it doesn't go away. And this dovetails into what my actual topic is, we can provide that to each other.
Absolutely.
And we should provide that to each other. And my original topic in listening to Roy was about economics and how we treat each other. And what I said to the screener was, if all of these religious people actually did what their religion said to do at their core, about caring for each other, supporting each other, creating a supportive society, and we're less worried about what I do with my genitals or what happens with this pregnancy over here or how many people I choose to love or which gender I choose to love or all of these other things, rather than these people need food, these people need housing, these people need clothing, these people need protection. How much better would society be? And I know you agree with me.
Partially.
That's why I love you.
Only partially, Stephen. So here's the thing. I'm obviously not a Christian anymore, and so I don't want to put words in people's mouths. That said, I do have my own experience, and in my experience, my definition of God and the verses that I gravitated to changed over time. And I feel like people can find validation for whatever bigotry or whatever generosity they want in that book. There's so much in it that I think that when you say if people just followed the Bible, there are people who do, right? And it just depends on which verses you want to go towards. What you do with your genitals, you can point towards. What is his? Hold on a second. Why is
Are you
everything?
Play with your genitals now? What do you
No, I'm not going to, Stephen. You stop it. Help me, chat. The guy who slept with his deceased brother's wife, and pulled out, spilled his seed, and was punished by God for it.
Onan.
Onan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? You can point towards Onan and say that God very much cares about what you do with your genitals. You can point towards what was supposedly written on the way to Canaan, out of Egypt. You can read through Leviticus and read what was supposedly given from God to Moses. And I definitely like.
I guess I was leaning more toward golden rule stuff. I totally understand what you're saying. I'm not saying follow the Bible, but a lot of what I get beaten over the head with about God being a loving God and we, love your neighbor and do unto others, if they just did that stuff and looked at what was really, Jesus, we'll throw him up there as far as caring for the sick and caring for the poor and so forth. But listening to Roy, it resonated for me. Like, if people just took care of each other, being poor or being wealthy wouldn't matter. And when I look at, again, going back to summer, because I can tie it all together in a nice bow.
Okay.
A lot of what I thought of in terms of the gurus is the same thing that goes on, like you were bringing up with the Crystal Cathedral and so forth. Mm-hmm. There's a certain level of showmanship that goes into making people believe these things. So I feel like the grass hut or yurt or whatever the person was in thing comes from the idea of this person validating, or what's the word, underscoring what they're saying by saying, look, I live so simply and I have no ulterior motive, so that's why you should trust me.
Yeah.
Even though, and who knows, maybe he lives in the yurt when he's having one of these retreats, and then he goes back to his mansion afterward.
And we don't even need to speculate because, there are motivations other than money, and having a following, having people think that you have some spark of divinity in you can be enough.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Narcissism is a real thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do want to point out the other side of it, that I didn't get to validate that piece of what you said earlier. And that is that, yes, you do have Jesus feeding the 500, right? You do have Jesus, fashioning a whip and chasing the money changers out of the temple. There are stories like that you can gravitate to. And it just, you can find cause for anything. It looks like somebody in the chat was saying that this is their first time to the show. Hey, David. This is one of the benefits of having a smaller show nowadays, is I can actually see the live chat. It's not flying by, and I kind of like that. Just for people who are new to the show and wondering what this is, this program was originally started for people who believe. People who have spiritual, religious, or supernatural beliefs, who wanted to call in, talk about what they believe and why. And we would wind up having arguments about it. And over time, this show has changed. We still do that. And we still have a lot of really great philosophical conversations about all kinds of things. But it's also been changing. It's shifting. We're talking about what happens after, right? What is, 102? right? We got through 101. A lot of us did. What about how we treat ourselves, how we treat our family, how we move forward as we deconstruct not just our religious beliefs, but everything that was tied into it. Things like money, things like our sex, and shame, things like, uh, yeah, just all of that politics. Deconstruction has so many different pieces to it, and it feels like over time this show has been geared towards that. There are other call-in shows who have different purposes. Some of them are to have really, really big arguments, and I feel like there's a place for it. But this is one with a little bit more.
This one's juicier.
This one has.
That's what we decided in the Discord. This one's juicier.
I feel like this one has a really tight-knit community. And because there's one host instead of multiple rotating hosts, we can have ongoing conversations. Stephen, this is not the first time that you've called in. And that means that we can build on things, just like Summer, our last caller, or Roy before that, right? We can move and see as people are growing and changing, shifting, and having questions, and hopefully being there for them. Not just me as the host, but the people in the live chat as well, just being there for each other.
Doesn't mean we don't miss V, though.
I know. I'm telling you, we flew in yesterday exhausted. V went back to sleep. I'm sure they're out cold upstairs. Okay. So they're doing well. They're doing well. And eventually, when I can get another microphone in, we'll have them back on again. But
and to your point about the what you were saying about the 102 class that we're sort of in at this point. I also want to say it's okay when you're deconstructing and you're coming out of religion or you're questioning. It doesn't mean that all of your questions are going to be answered and you're going to be atheist on day 2 after you decide on day 1 that this is the direction you're going, or that you're going to become atheist and not still have questions. And in my personal case, I still struggle with life after death because I had a near-death experience. I had a heart attack and went through that process, and I still live with it, and I still play with those thoughts in my head about what it means, and I have the logical side of my brain and the emotional side of my brain, and I think that's also speaking to what Summer was talking about. There are things you can look at logically and say, okay, this doesn't make sense, but then there's the emotional side, which is I want to believe in magic. I want a sparkly world. I want, to use your term, I want those things. From a well,
how about just a universe? How about it just a universe that has justice? How about one where people, right? How about one where people who do terrible things actually pay for their crimes?
And don't just turn orange and keep annoying us. Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you talking about? Sorry.
No, you're good.
You did mention politics as you come in, so
no.
That's as much as I'll say.
And like this show's apolitical, Stephen. Yeah, sure. But I do want to put the phone number out one more time because this might be our last call. It might not. But just in case anybody else did want to call in for the day, 412-SkepGen, toll free, 412-753-7436, or you are watching this on a computer of some kind, and if that is the case and it's not your phone, you can pop on a headset and go to tiny.cc/SkepGen. That's tiny.cc/SkepGen to call in. Our call screener is waiting to talk to you. All right.
And she's lovely. She really is a lovely young woman.
Caitlin is young. Stephen, you're not that old. Are you? How old are you?
How old? I'm 54.
You're not that old.
I'm old enough to be your father.
Hold on. I mean, like, if you were, like, 13.
What year were you born?
87.
I was 17, and I was already sexually active. You could be my kid.
I'm not... No, you know what? No, this is a trick. I know where this is going. Stephen, you wanted to talk about economics though, and I kind of want to tie back into that.
Sure.
What about it?
Well, we're not worried about caring for the poor in this country. We're really not.
No.
Or the tax structure wouldn't be what it is. The way that we manage society is not geared toward the poor, whether you want to talk about sales tax or income tax or just about anything else. And to Roy's point about restaurants not willing to donate unserved food and things like that. We're not geared for that. We're so geared toward, you talked about the late stages of capitalism being part of the culprit, but there's, this is what I mean about religion being in there. If the religious people were really that, for what's the word? I don't know the word, but if they were really that worried about it, I wanted a better adjective, but I can't come up with one. They would make it a law that you would have to donate food, or they would come up with a regulation or a reason for restaurants to donate food. We would not struggle for programs like Head Start or any of the things that support children. I mean, I grew up, we were on welfare because my father disappeared, and my mother went to the welfare office. She had me, I was 3, and my brother who was under a year old. And she said, I want to go to work, but I still need money for childcare and this and that. And they said that unless she wasn't working at all, they couldn't help her, because that was the way they wanted to, that was the way they managed it at that point. Mm-hmm. And she said, fine, I'll quit my job, and you can just pay for everything. And then they gave her food stamps. But that was the struggle even then. So there's for years been this idea that people who are poor don't work hard, that people who are poor deserve their lot in life because they should be making money, and it's so easy to do, and it's simply not. To all of Roy's points, it's simply not that easy. And even going to this thing for Hope House, I was thrilled that the venue was sold out. It was $100 a plate. And I was worried that they wouldn't be able to come up with this. But we are all, as a community, supporting the creation of this facility and all the things that go with it. And as we're remodeling right now, as we go through an appliance that we don't need anymore or want to replace, we're donating it to this. And other people like us are doing this, and they're not just people like me in the terms of being an artistic person or an actor or even an LGBT person. I didn't take a poll to know how many of what was in the room, but just looking around, let's just say they weren't like me necessarily, but they were all there, and they were all supporting this. And yeah, it was a dinner theater show and whatever, because that's what you do when you create one of these things to bring people in the door. Yeah. But I don't think very many of them were there to see the show or were there for the food, because the food wasn't that great. But they were there for the purpose, which was to raise money for this thing. And there were, I would say, at least 75 people at this thing. So at $100 a plate, they really took home a lot of money, which I'm really, really happy about, because that's what I was worried about. I live in a rural Republican area, and so I didn't know which way it was going to go, because there are enough people who feel like, women should stay. I mean, we just heard it from the bearded candidate who said that, women should, people who don't have children don't have skin in the game and all this nonsense. There are politicians who believe that women should stay in abusive marriages. And come on. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I know that you're excited. And I know that you have a lot to say. I feel like I can summarize that, though.
Absolutely.
And that is that whether people in that room are believers or not, whether they were actors or not, whether they were queer or not, you have a bunch of people who got together and recognized that human hands are what solve human problems. We can't rely on some, spiritual mumbo jumbo. We can't rely on, a guru with the touch of the divine in a grass hut somewhere in the middle of nowhere to feed our children, to feed our neighbors, to be there, to lean on. That it is those human connections. It's the kindness and generosity that we actually give each other that solves those problems. And we can talk about politics all we want, and we can disagree about a million things, but in the end, as long as we're recognizing that it's human hands that solve human problems, then we can build places like you said. Hope House is the name of it.
Yeah, Hope House is Hope House of Cumberland County here in Pennsylvania.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I definitely want to put the call out there to anybody who is watching, who has the time and the ability or resources to help be there for each other, even if that's making a casserole for your neighbor. It's those things, right? Those.
And don't just make food when somebody dies. I got so much food when my mother died. I didn't eat all this food. I was by myself. But in all seriousness, make a casserole for your neighbor.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do that. If you're making one, make two, and bring the other one next door, and just say, I was thinking of you in here. And because you don't know what they're going through, and they may be like, oh, they brought another casserole, or they might be like, oh, great, they brought a casserole. I don't have to cook tonight, at the very least,
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up and let you get on to whatever else you wanted to do today. Don't be afraid to give yourself credit for getting through stuff too. I hear
that.
so much about people who go through things like the woman I met the other night, or other hardships, and even you said yourself, when you get to your darkest places, you become vulnerable to wanting to believe in things that aren't there just to help you get through. But the point is, you get through. You got through, and you can give yourself credit for that without crediting anyone or anything else. I believe in prayer as a form of meditation. I can be right on board with that, but I'm not sure, and no one can say that anyone is listening. At the end of the day, whatever that clearing of your mind gave you helped you get through, and it's okay to credit yourself with that and own that, and let that get you through the next time that you had that strength the first time.
I love that.
And that's it.
It looks like there's someone whose name is James in the live chat. Feel free to call in. They definitely have strong thoughts about government involvement in helping people, and I'd be interested in exploring that. But Stephen,
I didn't light a match there. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. You know how I deal with things. People who watch this show know how I deal with things. Stephen, you're a sweetheart. Am I going to see you in the after show?
Maybe. I have to go get cat food, so I might
take
be
care
there
of
for
the
a few
cat.
minutes, but we will see.
No
Yes.
worries. It might not be a super long after show. I've got my landlord coming to help fix something. But if I don't see you, I'll see you next week.
Absolutely, and best to be.
Thank you. I'll tell them.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was really sweet. I do want to take a little bit of time, in case, I'm seeing an interesting conversation about what people feel is their own personal responsibility, what communities should be doing independently for each other versus what a government should be expected to or have the responsibility to do for its people. If that is a conversation they want to have, I'd be happy to keep that open. In the meantime, though, I feel like now is a great time because I'm open for calls. Have you hit the like button? Have you subscribed to this channel? If you're watching and you like what these conversations are about, if you want to help support it, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Every little bit helps. Share the program with anybody you think would enjoy it. And if you want to help support making this show happen, I'm doing my best, you guys. This show is I'm funding out of pocket to make this happen. If you want to help make this happen, consider going to patreon.com/skepticgeneration. If you can't, totally understood. Hit the like, hit subscribe button. But if you want to, patreon.com/skepticgeneration is how to make that. Is how to help keep episodes happening every week. All right. With that said, I think that I think the calls have pretty much slowed down, and I'm okay with that. I'd love to have just a community get together and hang out with everybody in the Discord. So if you look in the description for this video and every live video that we do, you will find a link to the SkepGen Discord. We're going to be doing an after show, and I'd love to see you there. Just hang out. Yeah. Oh, I do have one more call. Okay. We'll do one more. Caitlin, no worries on taking the call in the queue, because I just want to kind of dive right into it. So let's see if we can talk to Will in Texas. Will, you there?
I am.
Hey, Will, you are our last caller for the day. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, man. I spoke to you maybe a couple months ago about about my wife being a Christian and me. We all live on the same 2 acres. Remember, I said I had a house in front, she got a house in back.
Yeah.
You said you had some family members that were the same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My so I don't think it's doxing myself if I give some details. I always got to be careful because people can get like really, really into it. But yeah, my I have grandparents out in Texas who have property, and my mother and brothers are on the neighboring property, and they've consolidated, and so my brothers have got their own little spots, and my grandparents have theirs, my mom has hers. So like I'm right there. I got you.
Yeah. Here, so I'm in my mom's house now, which is her, who's 73, and then my aunt, who's about to be 78. And I'm like this close from having to start changing old people's diapers. I'll tell you what.
Hold on just a second. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I just trying to like moderate all of these different things. I'm seeing some weird, almost anti-Semitism in the live chat. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
There's not room for that. We can talk about politics. We can talk about the nation of Israel. We can talk about a lot of things, but
maybe you misunderstood me.
yeah. Well, no, I don't mean you, but like, yeah, just like anybody
Gotcha.
in the live chat.
We won't.
Check what you're writing to see if it can be construed that way, because it's coming across that way to me. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
So, me and the wife, we're both afraid to talk to one another. So she knows that I'm going to come at her with, hey, I can't believe you can believe this. And basically what it is, until we started having our problems, I just took being a Christian as like the default setting. So years ago when I told her I'd try her thing out, I never looked into it. And it wasn't until I started looking into it over the last couple of years that I'm like, I told you about my list of all the Bible verses that are just trash that you said don't bring up to her.
Yeah, and just for people who are tuning in for the first time, because I do remember this call.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd said that you'd pulled together a bunch of verses that were really, really tough for people to deal with, and I'd said that you were kind of setting yourself up to talk at each other and not with each other. And so instead of holding on to all of these verses that could be contentious, listening to this other person, your wife, right? And engaging her where she is would be more productive. I believe that was where we left it.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
However, there's this one verse that I heard within the last couple of weeks that just floored me, that just said, no matter what she says, try to talk me into that, I can't, because I just wouldn't be able to worship this monster after reading that one verse. I'm sure there's plenty more that are bad, but this is the worst.
Which book of the Bible is it in? What's the verse?
I can't remember. I didn't write it down at the time, but it said something about if a woman doesn't scream loud enough when she's getting raped, that she should be stoned herself. Meaning, okay, so if she acts like she likes it, then I mean, why does God have men's attributes? Why does men are jealous, God's jealous, man's angry, God's angry. Regret, all that stuff.
Is that a position that your wife takes? Does your wife believe that?
Oh, I'm sure she does. So I go over
you
there.
You think so?
When I think it'd be hard for her not to stick up for that.
I don't know about that. So like I have right here a King James version of the Bible. There's going to be a bit of a delay, but I got a giant ass Bible right here in my hands. There are a lot of people who say that they believe it, but they don't know every verse. You might feel motivated to try and back something up even if you don't understand it. And there are people who even can get to a place where they can, try and like, if I'm going to put on my Christian hat, I could say, oh, that's probably a Mosaic law. That was probably written in the Old Testament. And when Jesus died, all of those rules were wiped away. And so you don't have to follow them. So that's not the case anymore. What do you say to that?
Gotcha. Well, I had brought up something a month and a half ago to her about, this is from the Old Testament. She's like, well, it's all connected. You know, we should know about the Old Testament and the New Testament. So I'm like, so you're not going to throw a hole like everybody else does where they go, well, that's Old Testament. She's like, no. So I'm like, that got me thinking, like, wow, she's really in trouble with her thoughts.
But then again, I was in trouble with my thoughts before I got to a place where I could safely, comfortably talk about it.
Gotcha.
You know
what I really want to tell her is, fuck, I forgot. Damn it.
No worries. So there can be places where you can agree. Like I brought up before in an earlier call, right? Not all of the Bible is evil.
Yeah.
There's some good shit in there. You know, and while I think that Jesus was deeply tribalistic and you know, had in-group, out-group stuff, he did do some pretty cool shit in the stories. So, like,
yeah,
I don't know. I definitely just want to keep encouraging that, like, listen to what pieces your wife is talking about. And and only have
what
those...
do you think about this? So she told me when we got together, it's been almost 10 years now. She told me when we got together that she believes that God brought us together. And then I want to say, well, yeah, you know, and I tried being a Christian and doing all that stuff, but there was just, I need evidence, you know, and you can't teach a grown man to just all of a sudden use faith if you're so used to, you know, truth. So I said, I want to tell her maybe we got together so I could try to help you deconvert. So,
well,
I don't know what you'd think to that.
I'll tell you exactly what I think to that. I think that when I was a believer, I thought that there was one person in the world who was put there for me, my puzzle piece that matched me perfectly, that was ordained by God to be there for me. And I think that what she could have been saying is, I think you're my perfect person.
Gotcha.
What she could have been saying is, I love you.
Right. We've gotten into arguments about that where it's like, you know, I do all this to show I love you, and she's nothing like that. She's, you know, it's like she always wants me to do something for her before she'll actually let me know how she feels.
Yeah. That's more tied up in you know, marital communications and all of that. But I'm not saying that that's necessarily what's going on. I just want to give you other possibilities. I want people who watched this show to find that charity where they can, so that when the rubber meets the road and when it is time for that conversation, you're not the guy who tried to nickel and dime every conversation up until then. You know what I mean? I don't want you to have gotten so hung up on the little stuff that when the big stuff comes around, no one's listening.
I got you. That's good advice. Sure is.
It's not easy advice. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not in your relationship. I'm not your wife, and I'm not someone who knows you personally. And so I could be fucking up entirely. I'm just some asshole on the internet. I'm just trying to help.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just really good at blowing up. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, and you have every reason to be pissed off. Like, you went through a life of believing a certain thing, you deconstructed it, and now you're like, what the fuck? Everything tied to it is falling apart, right? And as you get there, you know, and when everything seems so clear all of a sudden, right? To use a biblical you know, analogy, right? When the scales fell from your eyes, it seems obvious, and you're just like, how come you can't see it? But you need to remember that it wasn't easy for you either. Definitely wasn't easy for me and for most people. And they need to be in a place where they're ready to listen before anything changes.
Gotcha. It's like I go over there, she'll text me and say, can you let the dog out? So I go to the house and go in the room. She's got all these little verses pinned up on her mirror, and and then next to the bed's a notepad with, I will breathe every breath for you, God, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is going on?
I think that, I think some couples therapy would be good, because it sounds like both of you are speaking different languages at each other. And while you both love each other very much, you're having trouble understanding each other in that way. And I feel like an
That's
outside,
what I think.
yeah, I think an outside party would be good to help with that.
I think so too. And what she did, starting about a year ago, she started going to this therapy at her church once a week. And
Licensed therapist would be good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you have insurance, you can go. Do you have insurance?
No.
No.
Nope.
Texas can be difficult. There are websites though. If you get the chance to join us in the after show, I might be able to help a little bit. We just need to find you some resources. But yeah, getting an outside party can help.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Because, it was easy for her to go to her church once a week and do this class because she's already used to doing that kind of stuff. And she wants me to do the same. And I get down to where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go this Tuesday. And then I think, nah, I just can't get into that. That's just, why was she forcing me to do something she's comfortable with that I'm not comfortable with?
Yeah. Hey, the glorious content in the live chat. You can call in right now. If you can call in right now, I will let you continue to post in the live chat. If you do not call in right now, you will be banned. Sorry. There's somebody who's doing a lot of talking. I want them to do some walking.
Gotcha.
Will, I appreciate you, and
I appreciate you.
I wish I knew more about your situations, but it's I don't want you to be airing your dirty laundry, like that either. So best I can do is send you a hug over the internet, and I wish you the best, brother.
All right, man. I'll try to call in next week with an update. Maybe I get the balls to talk to her.
Time and place. You know her better than I do.
Oh, yeah, brother.
All right, take care.
Have a good week. Thanks.
You too. Okay, everybody, I lied. I got another caller. And if this person, glorious content, is going to call in, let me give you the phone. Let me give you the number here. 412 SkepGen. That's 412-753-7436. Or you can go to tiny.cc/SkepGen. I think the show is going to go longer than I thought it would. And I'm okay with that. In the meantime, though, while glorious content calls in, let's talk to John in Canada. John, you're live.
Hello, Eric. How are you?
Hey, John. I'm doing okay. I'm getting a little riled up reading the comments. But it says here... yes, I remember you, John. Yeah. Okay. So just so I got this right. I remember there was a conversation being had about J.K. Rowling and about separating the artist from the art. And you called in, and you had some strong feelings about it. And then you called in the next week, like an absolute boss, and were just owning it. And you said, "Hey, you know what? I wanted to have a conversation, but I didn't want to be rude, and I wanted to apologize." And you apologized for that approach, and like blew me away. So I appreciate you. What did you want to talk about today? And oh my gosh, I don't have you on the lower third. So while you tell me, I'm gonna type that out.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say, for the last several years now, I've been investigating religion, the validity of it, if there's any truth to it. And
which one?
Any religion, but especially Christianity.
Okay.
And I've been listening to both sides, both people in the ACA and the other side, and I see that the two sides have strong positions. But there's one thing that I've noticed, is that on the theist side, they don't have any physical evidence. However, they presuppose that they are correct. And I see a problem with that, because by doing that, they're not doing an honest investigation.
Right.
I feel that we should have an honest investigation with no presupposition whatsoever, and see where the truth leads us. What do you think?
I think that is a really, really that's a really sweet idea, and the tallest order you could possibly imagine. Because everybody has presuppositions. And I feel like we need to separate things here, right? We have our epistemology, how we understand the world around us. We have our ontology, which is kind of the world we're trying to investigate in the first place. And then you have axiology, the axioms around, how you ought to be, how things ought to be. I feel like a lot of believers have an axiom there that everything should point to God. And because of that, I think they don't see a problem with using those presuppositions about a God's existence to prove that God's existence. And so we wind up talking past each other. And so I keep saying, and so I need to slow down. John, you were talking so fast. Now I want to talk fast back at you. I want to approach things in such a way that people can work on the way they think about the world around them. It's not just about exploring things. It's about understanding the tools that you're using to decipher the world around you. Right. So, yeah, I agree with you. We should not have, preconceptions about religion before we explore religion, but we need to be honest that everyone's coming into it with preconceptions.
Oh, I agree. We're only human after all.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as long as we can be honest with ourselves about what our preconceived notions are, I feel like we can do a lot of work.
Oh, that's perfect.
We just shouldn't expect it of everyone around us because they've got to do that too, and it's tough.
If only more people thought like we did.
I mean, but then again, that's everybody could say that.
Oh, you're right about that.
Think about every monstrous regime in history. If everybody just thought like we did, like,
oh yeah, that's true.
It's tough. It's tough. The best thing that I can think of is I can model the behavior that I want to see in others. And maybe if I model it, then they can reciprocate,
I see. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
All right.
I hope you have a good day.
Hey, you too. What's up?
Just one question, though. Where's V Bianca these days?
Oh, V's upstairs sleeping. They had their birthday last week. That's why I didn't do a show last week. I'm actually sunburned. You could probably see my head flaking. But they got really involved in doing community activism and all that good stuff. And so they kind of needed to make a choice about where they were going to put their time and effort. And they decided to do that. So I support them and they support me. But we are both happily in love together. And, everything's good. They're just doing their own thing.
I noticed that you two used to host the show together. For the last few months, you've been doing it alone. I just find that weird. But anyway, it's up to you.
Yeah, they were like, Eric, if you want to do it, I'm always going to be supportive of you. But they're kind of doing their own thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, have a good day.
Hey, you too. Take care.
You too. Bye.
The glorious content has called in. The glorious content. First off,
hello.
Hello. Is your content glorious? First of all, I need to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a lag on the YouTube?
Oh, there absolutely is. Yeah, if you were to watch that and try to listen at the same time, it'd drive you nuts.
It seems behind, but that might be good. I don't know, but like having it up to date, talking to me with the show up, and I always use speakerphone. That might cause problems anyway.
Yeah, you definitely got to turn the show all the way down. That way there's not any feedback. But it sounds like you're doing great. The reason I asked you to call in is you said in the live chat, no one provides better couples therapy than our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I was like, is this person a troll? I don't know. But I kind of wanted to, like, what's going on?
That was just a joke, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I was maybe trying to maybe doing a little bit of trolling in the chat, but not a lot of trolling. Like first time in the chat.
Gotcha.
Like a normal move to the first thing you do in the chat. You don't know any of the people to troll a little bit.
Yeah.
But wasn't trying to pull too much on anybody or anything.
No.
It's just a joke. It's just kidding around a little bit.
I was just thinking if somebody really believed that, like, I want to dive in. You know what I mean? If somebody's like, hey, Jesus is a really good therapist, Like, do you need to schedule an appointment? you know, and so, but if that is the case, I totally understand it. I want you to be able to engage and all of that stuff. But I just saw an opportunity and I didn't know. So
I maybe do believe it unironically a little bit though, because like maybe in a way, because like couples therapy and just therapy. I'm rather skeptical of that. So even if I don't believe in Jesus, going that direction might just be better generally anyway still. But
you think so?
know.
I mean, like we had our last caller who was talking about, having trouble communicating with his wife, and she wanted to speak through her, biblical passages, her faith, and was sharing a lot of things. And, one of them definitely to me kind of rang out as, hey, I love you. And even if it may not have been taken that way, that may have been the purpose of it. And so I feel like having an outside party that's not, allied to you or your spouse who can listen and help mediate those things, I think that can be really beneficial.
I'm at 1% battery.
Oh, shit. Then, hey, glorious content. Wow. You were at 1% battery. Hey, much respect. Thank you for calling in. Damn. Alrighty. Understood. I want to go to the after show. I want to go hang out with people. Hit the like button if you haven't. Hit subscribe. It definitely helps. I would sincerely appreciate it. If you want to support the show, consider going to patreon.com/skepticgeneration. And if you just want to hang out with us for about the next half hour, 45 minutes, I'm just going to dive into Discord and hang out with people. And I'd be happy if you joined us. You don't need to be a patron for that. Just, come say hi. I am going to be here this next week and every weekend after for the foreseeable future. And I hope to see you there. Until next time, I'm Eric Murphy, and I'm glad we had this talk.